7 prophetic actions that trigger supernatural breakthroughs. When faith meets action, mountains become stepping stones to your miracle. If you work diligently towards these 7 prophetic actions, your life and home will experience amazing supernatural breakthroughs. Stick with me till the end. You can't afford to miss this video. The first action is faith declaration. When you speak God's promises, you're not just saying empty words, you're planting heavenly truth into your earthly situations. Faith declarations are powerful tools that connect your heart with God's truth. Just like a tiny seed grows into a mighty tree, your spoken words of faith can transform your life. Think of it like turning on a light in a dark room. Each time you declare, "God is my strength," or "I walk in divine health," you're lighting up your world with God's promises. These declarations work deep in your spirit, building unshakable confidence in God's faithfulness. Jesus himself showed us this power when he spoke to storms and they calmed, when he declared healing and people were made whole. As his followers, you carry this same authority. Whether facing fear, sickness, or doubt, speaking God's word creates a shield of faith around you. Remember, faith declarations aren't about shouting to be heard, but about aligning your heart with heaven's truth. As you consistently speak life-giving words, you partner with God's creative power to shape your reality according to his promises. Speak what you seek until you see what you said. This inspires you to use your words intentionally and powerfully. We would appreciate it if you could like this video so that we can reach a wider audience. Thank you very much. Second action is obedience. Obedience is your gateway to experiencing God's amazing plans for your life. When God whispers direction to your heart, each step of obedience opens doors you never knew existed. Just like a child learning to walk trusts their parents' guiding hands, your trust in God's guidance leads to wonderful discoveries. Sometimes God's instructions might seem unusual, like when he told Noah to build an ark on dry land. Yet following his voice, even when it doesn't make sense to others, positions you for miracles. Every act of obedience, whether big or small, is like placing another brick in the foundation of your faith journey. The beauty of obedience lies in its simplicity. You don't need to understand everything, you just need to follow. When doubt creeps in, remember Moses at the Red Sea. One step of obedience parted the waters. Your breakthrough might be just one act of obedience away. In following God's voice, you'll find peace that surpasses understanding and joy that flows from knowing you're walking in his perfect will. Trust his timing, embrace his guidance, and watch as your faithful obedience unfolds his magnificent plan. Delayed obedience is disobedience. Timely action based on God's guidance can open doors that were previously closed. Third action is worship and praise. Worship and praise are your spiritual weapons that break chains and open heaven's gates. When you lift your voice in worship, you're not just singing songs. You're creating a throne room atmosphere right where you are. It's like opening windows in a dark room, letting God's light flood every corner of your life. Think of worship as your love letter to God. Whether you're dancing, singing, or quietly whispering his name, each expression of praise builds a bridge between heaven and earth. Even in your toughest battles, worship becomes your victory song, declaring God's goodness before you see the answer. Just as David played his harp and evil spirits fled from Saul, your worship has power to chase away darkness. It's not about perfect notes or elegant words. It's about your heart connecting with God's heart. When you praise, mountains that looked impossible begin to crumble. Remember, worship isn't limited to Sunday services. Every moment can be transformed into a worship experience, while driving, working, or even doing dishes. As you make praise your lifestyle, you'll find yourself walking in a constant flow of God's presence and power. Praise doesn't just change the atmosphere, it shifts our perspective. The fourth action is fasting. When you set aside food or activities for prayer, you're telling God, "You are more important than my physical needs." Fasting is your special time of drawing closer to God, like tuning a radio to remove static and hear the clear signal. This powerful choice opens your spiritual eyes to see things you might miss in your daily rush. Think of fasting as a spiritual reset button. Just as Jesus went to the desert to fast before his ministry, your time of fasting prepares you for God's purposes. It's not about earning God's favor, but about positioning your heart to receive his wisdom and strength. During your fast, each hunger pain becomes a reminder to pray, and every craving turns into an opportunity to lean on God's strength. Whether you're seeking answers, breakthrough, or simply more of God's presence, fasting sharpens your spiritual sensitivity. Remember, fasting combined with prayer is like a master key that unlocks spiritual doors. As you humble yourself through fasting, you'll find peace, clarity, and divine direction that goes beyond natural understanding. Fasting doesn't change God, it changes us. The fifth action, sowing seed. Sowing seed is your powerful connection to God's abundant system. Think of your giving as heavenly investments. Just as a tiny acorn grows into a mighty oak tree, your faithful sowing multiplies beyond what you can imagine. Like a farmer who plants with expectation, your giving sets in motion a divine cycle of blessing. Each time you give, whether it's money, time, or kindness, you're planting seeds that will grow into beautiful harvests in your life. When you give to support God's work or help someone in need, you're not losing anything. You're launching your blessings into God's faithful hands. The beauty of sowing lies in its heart connection. When you give with love and faith, you mirror God's generous nature. Every seed you plant carries your prayers, hopes, and faith, creating ripples of blessing that touch many lives. Whether you're sowing finances for a breakthrough, sharing encouraging words, or offering practical help, each seed carries supernatural potential. Remember, in God's kingdom, no seed is too small when planted with faith. Your giving activates heaven's abundance in ways that go far beyond natural understanding. What you give away brings back a harvest. Sow generously. The sixth action is praying in agreement. Praying in agreement is your spiritual powerhouse, where faith multiplies. When you join hearts with other believers in prayer, it's like connecting spiritual batteries. The power intensifies. Just as a rope becomes stronger when its strands are woven together, your prayers gain strength when united with others. Think of agreement prayer as a spiritual concert where every voice creates a beautiful harmony reaching heaven. When you stand with others declaring God's promises, you're not just praying, you're creating a mighty force that moves mountains. Whether you're praying with one person or in a group, each voice adds power to the prayer. Jesus gave you this amazing promise. When you gather in His name, He's right there with you. Your united prayers create a spiritual atmosphere where miracles become possible. Even when circumstances look impossible, agreement prayer builds a bridge of faith strong enough to carry your biggest dreams. Remember, when you link your faith with other believers, you're not just adding prayers together, you're multiplying their power. This unity in prayer breaks chains, opens doors, and releases God's answers in extraordinary ways. A prayer shared is a prayer amplified. The seventh action, but not the least, acts of service. Acts of service are your beautiful expressions of God's love in action. When you reach out to help others, you're being God's hands and feet on earth. Like a candle sharing its flame without losing its light, your service brightens lives, while making your own path brighter. Every time you serve, whether it's offering a helping hand, sharing a meal, or giving your time, you're painting a picture of Jesus' love for others. Think of service as planting gardens of hope in people's lives. Your simple acts of kindness can bring healing to hurting hearts and light to dark situations. When you serve without expecting anything in return, you tap into a divine principle of blessing. Just as Jesus washed his disciples' feet, your humble service carries tremendous power. Each act of kindness, no matter how small, echoes in eternity. Remember, serving others isn't just about what you do. It's about carrying God's presence into every situation. As you lift others up, you'll find yourself lifted too, experiencing joy and fulfillment that money can't buy. In giving, we receive 100-fold. Every step you take in faith opens doors to God's amazing plans. These prophetic actions aren't just religious duties, they're keys that unlock heaven's storehouses in your life. Like a master painter using different brush strokes, each action adds beautiful colors to your faith journey. Your declarations become bridges between heaven's promises and your earthly situations. When you choose to worship in tough times, obey when it's challenging, or serve others selflessly, you're creating pathways for God's power to flow. Think of these actions as spiritual seeds that grow into mighty testimonies. Today is your perfect moment to step into these promises. Maybe you'll start with simple faith declarations, or perhaps you feel drawn to deeper worship. Each choice to fast, sow, or pray with others builds your spiritual muscles and deepens your connection with God. Remember, breakthroughs often come when you least expect them. As you embrace these prophetic actions with a believing heart, watch how God transforms your challenges into stepping stones of victory. Thanks for watching. God bless you. Stay connected.